Hello, everyone. It's Jason, and I'm here answering your questions about Zen, meditation, your practice, life, any kind of question. Today's question comes from somebody in the community asking about grounding, techniques to help ground ourselves. Now, I think I should read the question first because there's a link to an article. The question is, Jason, just wondering, doesn't this technique recommended by the University of New England Department of Psychology and Counseling correspond with some of your own teachings? Science may be catching up. Enjoy. Let's take a look at this article here. What is grounding? Grounding is a self-soothing skill to use when you're having a bad day or dealing with a lot of stress, overwhelming feelings, and or intense anxiety. Grounding is a technique that helps keep you in the present and helps reorient you to the here and now and to reality. It can also serve as a distraction from the difficulties you are dealing with. Okay, I think there's a lot to cover here. Now, first would be, does this correspond with my teachings? Now, I have to say honestly that I don't have any teachings. Everything I talk about comes from Zen teaching. But if you want to go back even further, everything comes from the teaching of the Buddha. So many of you know that there's many different styles of Buddhism, including Zen, many different kinds of meditation practices and techniques, but all of them are pointing to the core teaching of the Buddha. And in my view, I think the core teaching of the Buddha is the Four Noble Truths. I was just thinking about my conversation with this Buddhist monk in my last video, and also my conversation with Doug Smith. Even though that the meditation techniques they were telling me about, I'm not very familiar with, right? A little bit different from Zen practice. But what we all came together on was the purpose of Buddhism. And it really points to the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth is life is suffering. Sometimes suffering may be misunderstood or mistranslated even. We can say that life is dissatisfying. It's unstable. Many of the times, or most of the times, human beings are at unease. The reason for that is because we're grasping after things. We're holding things. We can call it attachment. Attachment means holding on to and not letting go. This second noble truth is what causes suffering or dissatisfaction. The third noble truth states that there is a way out of this. And the way to do that is what's stated in the fourth noble truth is the eightfold path, 8 steps to get out of this wheel of suffering. Now, coming back to this article, mindfulness, meditation, Zen, they may help relieve stress or relieve our anxiety to help us stay grounded, but it's not the purpose of our practice. I think that's really important to point out. It doesn't mean we don't benefit from these practices. It just means it's not the purpose. So if I'm looking at the techniques in this article, they call it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 game. So the first one is name 5 things you see in the room with you. Name 4 things you can feel. Name 3 things you can hear. Name 2 things you can smell. And name 1 thing you can taste. So this technique that they're talking about here is just being mindful of all of these things. And again, mindfulness is not enough. Depending on who I'm talking to, I may say the first step is to reduce your stress or to reduce your anxiety. I know when I first started practicing, I had a lot of anger, a lot of fear, a lot of confusion. I wasn't doing very well. And I would say that I wasn't able to do the basic functions of day-to-day activities. So I did a lot of sitting meditation and a lot of prostrations just to help me manage the day in and day outs of life. One thing I wanted to mention about this article was this line: it can also serve as a distraction from the difficulties you are dealing with. Again, sometimes we need something to help keep us grounded, right? To give us the capability to deal with the moment as it's arising. But I don't think trying to distract ourselves in the long run, the long term, is going to be very helpful. I've seen many people do this. I've done this myself, is we're always distracting ourselves from our lives. Some people do it with the internet. Some people do it with sex. Some people do it with drugs or alcohol. Some people even do it with practicing meditation. If you have an illness, there's symptoms that come out of it. And the first thing that we usually do is take some kind of medication. Whether that's natural or prescribed, we take some kind of medication to help relieve the symptoms so we can just function from day to day. What I think is most important is once we do that, once we're relieved from our symptoms, is to dig in. What is the source of this illness? What is causing this illness? Now, they don't do that so much here in the West. We're prescribing all kinds of different things, and people get very dependent on these medications because eventually it stops working. So you need something stronger, or you need a different brand, right? Sometimes it's set up where they want to keep people dependent on these medications. And that's a whole nother topic that I don't really want to get into. It's the same way with our Buddhist practice, whatever practice that may be. It doesn't even have to be a Buddhist practice, any kind of meditation practice. Once you relieve the symptom, it's very important to investigate the source of suffering. Why do human beings suffer, and how do we get out? I hope this video was helpful. You can let me know by liking this video. Also, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps support this YouTube channel. Also, if you have any questions about Zen, meditation, your practice life, you can put them in the comments below or just email me, jason@jasonquinnzen.com. I would love to hear your thoughts about all this. You can put it in the comments below. And as always, I will see you very soon.